Chapter 8. Crew. Her eyes widen. She sees me. Barely, but I'm watching her closely enough to see the subtle shift in her face. Aside from her eyes, Scarlett's expression remains sanguine. 2 women are trailing her. One is typing frantically on her phone, probably taking notes. The other is balancing a tall stack of binders. Scarlett's steps don't falter as she strides straight toward me. As they near, I can hear what she's saying. Hopkins should be booked for Thursday. Tell him I want 2 locations, preferably 3. I handled the models already, and all the samples from Chanel should be arriving on Monday. Tell Jeanette Richardson I need her piece on the Wildlife Foundation next week, or she'll be bumped until next year. Same with the travel feature. I'll need final versions by Wednesday. She stops at my side. Crew. Scarlett. Ready. You're not going to introduce me? Scarlett shoots me an annoyed look before turning back to the 2 women. Crew, this is Leah, my main assistant. A petite woman with a blonde bob and black glasses gives me a small smile. And Andrea, my head of editorial content. Lovely to meet you both. I smile. Andrea gives me an unimpressed look, while Leah looks away. Working with Scarlett has clearly rubbed off on them. I'll be in the office tomorrow if you need to reach me, Scarlett says. Her tone is brisk. Both women hang on to every word. Did you bring the Lorenzo sketches? She asks Andrea. Wordlessly, Andrea hands over one of the binders. Scarlett opens it and flips through a few of the pages. Perfect. Good night. Good night. They both chorus, ignoring me. Whatever impression Scarlett has given them of me, it hasn't been complimentary. And they're loyal to her, the sort of loyalty that can't be bought, only earned. It makes me admire her more. And there wasn't a lack of it to begin with. She bought this flailing magazine and turned it into a thriving enterprise. I'm impressed. Proud, despite the fact I have no credit to claim. My sole contribution is that Scarlett seems set on spending as little time in my company as possible. If she's actually spending the bulk of the time she's not at the penthouse working, she's logging 90-hour weeks. I move, straightening from the side of the limo I've been leaning against, and open the door. Andrea and Leah disappear back inside the building that houses Haut's offices, leaving us on the bustling street. What a gentleman. You'd think differently if you trusted yourself to be alone with me. Scarlett's eyes flash as she slides onto the leather seat, arranging the blue organza so it covers up the flash of calf I just caught. The gown she's wearing is off the shoulder with a sweetheart neckline that dips between the curves of her breasts. Standing while she sits offers one hell of a view. It has nothing to do with trust. I hum before shutting the car door and rounding the rear of the car to climb in the other side. As soon as my door shuts, the limo pulls out into traffic. Good day. She's already started flipping through pages in one of the binders Andrea left her with. Yeah, fine. Stubbornly, stupidly, I press her. What did you do? More than fetch Daddy's coffee. Scarlett is trying to piss me off. Ever since the night she got back from Paris, when I carried her upstairs and demonstrated an incredible amount of self-control by not stealing a glimpse of her naked, she's been prickly and combative every chance she's had. I have a feeling if I'd come home to find her in heels and standing, not curled up on the couch, the animosity might be dialed down a notch. She's definitely not indifferent toward me. I'm not sure if this is an improvement though. I got up for a glass of water at 3 a.m. 2 nights ago. Scarlett was standing in the kitchen in her standard attire of a dress and heels, making a cup of tea. I haven't seen her in jeans since my bachelor party, much less sweatpants or pajamas. She's already turned back to her binders, but I feel obligated to respond. I'm the vice president of. I don't care, crew. Do whatever you want at work. Do whatever you want when you're not at work. Just don't tell me when I can or can't work. I didn't tell you couldn't work. I asked you about work, Scarlett. I let some ire leak into my voice. Me being nice freaked her out. I can be short instead. But let's just sit in awkward fucking silence, same as we have every day since you got back. Great. Let's. She flips a page so aggressively the corner tears. I snort and look outside. Tonight's gala is being held on Carnegie Hall's rooftop terrace. Our arrival attracts more attention than I'm expecting. This is our first official outing as a couple, much less a married one. Neither Scarlett's parents nor mine are attending tonight, which makes us the sole representatives of New York's 2 wealthiest families. Attention is something I'm used to, but the scrutiny feels different with Scarlett by my side. I battle the contrary urges to shield her and to step away. Scarlett makes the decision for me. As soon as we're inside, she snags a glass of champagne from a passing waiter and heads for a large group of giggling women. They accept her into the circle with ease, a few glancing back at me. It shouldn't surprise me. This is how we've acted at every other event we've both attended in the past. I doubt Scarlett considers any of the women she's now chatting with to be friends, but you wouldn't know it based on the way she's laughing and nodding along to something one of them is saying. I order a bourbon and start to make the rounds, beginning with the Rutherfords, who are hosting tonight. Donald Rutherford is the chair of the board at New York General Hospital. His wife, Jennifer, is an heiress involved with half a dozen charities around the city. I compliment them on the evening and hand Jennifer a check for the fundraiser before moving on and getting sucked into a conversation about upcoming events in the Hamptons. My summers are spent in Manhattan. If I need an escape, I travel upstate or to Europe. Our Hamptons house is the only one of my family's many properties that contains clear memories of my mother. I spend as little time as possible there. Being there with Candace and the current state of my relationship with my father and brother would be like spilling water on writing. I want to preserve my memories, not ruin them. When Daniel Waldorf mentions the Ellsworth 4th of July party next weekend, I realize I might not have much of a choice. Scarlett hasn't brought it up to me, but there's no way her parents won't expect us to attend. Daniel is describing his new sailboat to me when Hannah Garner sidles over to us. Nice seeing you, crew. Daniel smiles and bails, leaving me alone with Hannah. She doesn't spare Daniel a glance, assessing me with clear blue eyes. Hannah is probably the closest I came to willingly entering into a committed relationship. Her family is wealthy and well-connected. Her father founded a sports agency that represents a whole host of athletes set to become future Hall of Famers. He also owns the Los Angeles Titans. Last fall, Hannah and I attended a game together. She deep-throated me during halftime. That's how our involvement has always been, picking up when it was convenient and non-existent when it wasn't. Hello, crew. Her long blonde hair is curled tonight. One piece dips between the valley of her breasts, pulling my attention to her cleavage. She smirks, tracking my gaze. Hannah, I reply. I didn't realize you were in town. I convinced Dad to let me handle some business. There's a guy on the Mets he wants to sign. She pauses. I would have called, but you got married. There's no mistaking the bite in the word, but I don't owe her an explanation. Were you at the wedding? I'm guessing the Garners were invited. Her whole expression tightens. Couldn't make it. That's a shame. You never said a word. I sip some bourbon. Would it have mattered, Hannah? Scarlett Ellsworth? Really, crew? Kensington, I correct. Hannah's brow furrows. Her name is Scarlett Kensington now. That, she scoffs. Changing her last name doesn't change the fact she's uppity and entitled, with the emotional capacity of an iceberg. You could have done better. The rush of anger takes me off guard. Our sexual escapades aside, I consider Hannah a friend. I wrote here next to evidence that Scarlett is cold and closed off. But iceberg or not, she's still my wife. I tighten my grip on the glass, allowing plenty of ire to infiltrate my voice. Insult my wife again, and this will be our last conversation, Hannah. Come on, crew. No one expects you to be loyal to her. You married her for her money. Guests start filing inside the banquet room where dinner will be served. Try me, I tell her, then start to walk away. Her hand grabs mine before I make it more than a couple of steps. I'm here through Wednesday, staying in my usual suite at the Carlisle. I shake her hand off and keep walking. Scarlett is already seated at our assigned table when I enter the large hall. I say nothing as I take the chair beside her. Polite chatter echoes around us. Her finger traces the rim of a champagne glass, filling some of the silence with a subtle hum. She sighs, then downs the contents with one final gulp. Thirsty. Bored. I'm finding the evening highly entertaining, I reply, just to needle her. I'm sure you are, she mutters, looking away at the stage. She must have noticed me talking to Hannah. With any other woman, I think she was jealous. Since it's Scarlett, I'm guessing she's miffed I'm enjoying myself. Jennifer Rutherford, the hostess tonight, appears on stage. Everyone still standing hurries to their seats as the crowd quiets. I zone out as she starts speaking, thanking everyone for coming tonight and sharing plans for the renovations they're fundraising for tonight. It's not until I hear my name mentioned that I zone back in on the conversation. And Crew Kensington, whose generous contributions ensured we've already met tonight's goal. Contributions? I glance at Scarlett as loud applause sounds around us. You wrote a check? I ask, quietly enough no one else at our table can hear. It's a fundraiser, she whispers back in the "you're an idiot" tone I'm becoming quite familiar with. Of course I donated. You could have told me. It looks strange for us to make two separate donations. I didn't feel like elbowing my way past the blonde. I want to scoff at that, but I keep a smile pasted on my face instead. It remains in place for the rest of Jennifer's speech and through dinner. I'm seated next to Howard Burton, a hedge fund manager a few years younger than my father. He prattles on about market trends while I shove lemon risotto and seared duck into my mouth. Once dinner ends, seats get rearranged. Howard and his wife gravitate toward the silent auction set up in the next room. Scarlett is talking with Catherine Billings, who is sitting on her other side. I'm about to go get another drink when Asher takes Howard's empty seat. I raise both eyebrows at him. I thought you weren't coming tonight. He slouches in his seat. I changed my mind. Your dad? Yep. Asher rolls his eyes. His father loves the status of getting invited to events like this, but rarely has the follow-through to actually attend. And he always expects Asher to step up and save his ass. Let him handle his own messes, man. Yeah, maybe, Asher replies. Hannah is here. I stiffen at the attempt to change the subject and to gauge my reaction. Yeah, I know. She pissed. I shrug. She's not thrilled. I look over at Scarlett to confirm she's still talking with Catherine. She's not. Catherine is gone, and Scarlett is scrolling on her phone. Her expression is blank, giving me no indication of whether she's listening to or absorbing our conversation. Asher makes an annoying humming sound in response. Scarlett stands. Excuse me. I watch her walk away, then look back at Asher. Thanks a fuck ton for that. He looks confused. Since when do you care what a woman thinks? Since I married one, I reply. I'm stuck with her for more than one night. You said you barely see her. That you're leading separate lives. Both true. So, stop making an effort. I invited her to the climbing gym, and she left after 15 minutes. Doesn't seem like she'll care about Hannah or not. She won't. That's all I say though. I don't explain I inexplicably want her to care. That jealousy, an emotion I've always abhorred in women, would thrill me coming from Scarlett. Then what's the issue? Just, don't mention other women around her, okay? He studies me for a minute before he agrees. Fine. I feel his eyes remain on me as I make a point of looking around. A string quartet has set up in the corner and started playing, providing a muted soundtrack to the evening. A few couples gravitate toward the dance floor and begin to twirl. How's the sex? I say nothing. Asher scoffs. Come on, Kensington. You're not the shy sort. It's different and you know it. Different because you don't know? He teases. I rub my finger against the rim of my glass. Asher laughs. Holy fuck. You don't. It hasn't come up, I mutter. How the fuck does having sex with your wife not come up? I stand. I'm getting a refill. But rather than head for the bar, I somehow end up approaching Scarlett. I interrupt the group she's talking to with a polite smile. Would you like to dance, dollface? Sure, sugar. As soon as we're out of earshot, she mutters. Dollface? That's your worst one yet. Funny. I think sugar might be my new favorite. Scarlett looks away, but not before I catch the ghost of a smile. She never attempts to hide any negative emotions, I've noticed. When she's angry or upset, it's all on display. It's the few pleasant moments we've shared that she schools her reactions to. As soon as we reach the dance floor, I test the theory. There are about a dozen other couples dancing, most of them middle-aged or older, all waltzing with a respectable distance between them. I spin Scarlett so our chests are touching. Her expression doesn't change as we begin to dance, nor as I tighten my grip on her hand and her waist. My thumb leaves her palm and drifts down to her wrist. The only jewelry she's wearing tonight is a pair of diamond earrings and the rings I gave her, leaving the smooth skin below her palm bare. I settle my thumb on top of her pulse point, feeling it pound at a rapid pace. I smile, feeling her heart race. She may not want to want me, but she does. I know the feeling well. She doesn't pull away, but she won't meet my gaze either. This is the closest we've been since I carried her upstairs after discovering her on the couch. Scarlett isn't the only one acting unaffected. I want to haul her lips to mine. I want her to be naked and be allowed to look. I want to talk with her without having to extract any syllable that isn't cutting. Instead, I just twirl her around the dance floor. Silence is usually neutral. Between us, it shimmers. It has shape and substance. The quiet is weighted by all the things we aren't saying and all the emotions we aren't expressing. The song ends and transitions into a new one. After a few minutes, she swallows and looks right at me. I have an early day tomorrow. After our conversation in the car earlier, I know suggesting she take Saturday off is a bad idea. So do I. I don't. I want to take the car back, crew. Fine. I stop dancing. Let's go. Surprise flickers across her face. You're coming home tonight? Did I tell you otherwise? Pink heats her cheeks. I assumed you made plans. You know what they say about people who make assumptions. No, I don't, she challenges. What do they say? You want me to call you an ass? I've been called worse, she replies, then starts walking toward the exit. I catch up with her at the coat check. I'm getting sick of this, Scarlett. Does every conversation we have need to turn combative? You want to leave? Let's leave. I'm not fighting you. You're making a scene. I grab her arm to stall her in place. You're mad I'm coming home? I didn't think you'd care either way. I don't. Then why are you being so difficult? I hiss. Difficult, she echoes. I'm not the one who. Are you two in line for the valet? Fuck. I know that voice. I turn to see Hannah aiming a sweet smile my way. There's no authenticity in the expression. Oh, crew. She lets out a small fake laugh. I didn't realize that was you. I raise one eyebrow, silently calling her out on that bullshit. We're not in line for the valet. Our driver is on his way. Oh, all right then. Still she doesn't move. I press my lips together, annoyed. Hannah, this is my wife Scarlett. Scarlett, this is Hannah Garner. This is the first time I've ever introduced Scarlett as my wife. It's bizarre to say, and equally strange to realize I like the way it sounds. We've met before, Hannah says. Lovely to see you again, Scarlett. Scarlett stares at her. Where? Excuse me. You said we've met before. Where? Hannah looks flustered but recovers quickly. Oh, it must have been at some event here? Crew loves visiting LA. But it doesn't seem like your sort of place. New York isn't for everyone either, Scarlett replies. I prefer to visit in the summer. I hate the cold. I can see why. Scarlett's eyes flit over the short hem and low neckline of Hannah's dress. Hannah stiffens. For such a busy city, it can also feel lonely. She glances at me deliberately. I'm torn between doing something and saying nothing. It's obvious what Hannah is doing and why. She's jealous and hurt I married someone else, despite the fact it's been months since we were in the same state and we were never a couple. What I don't understand is what Scarlett is doing. Why she's engaging rather than ignoring. At every turn, she's made it clear she sees our marriage as nothing more than a business relationship, if that. I'd go so far as to say she treats her business partners with more warmth than she's shown me. And yet, she's sparring with Hannah rather than walking away. Not possessive per se, but not displaying total indifference either. If you're so desperate for some company, maybe you should go back inside and find some, Scarlett suggests. Seeing as we are leaving. I smother a smile, not missing the way she emphasizes we. Hannah doesn't miss it either. She sizes Scarlett up, not bothering to cloak her dislike. I didn't know you were capable of caring about anything other than business, Scarlett. I wasn't aware you knew anything about me, Scarlett shoots back. Especially since you seem far more interested in my husband. Hannah smiles. Small yet flashy and fake. She looks to me. I hope to see you around, crew. Her smile turns genuine for the first time before she passes us and heads back inside. I keep studying Scarlett. What? She snaps. I think her tone was warmer toward Hannah. I smile. Nothing. Scarlett shakes her head before heading toward our car. Roman pulled up at some point during the encounter with Hannah. He climbs out to open the door, but I wave him off and open the door for Scarlett myself. She grumbles a thank you before climbing into the back seat. I slide in on the opposite side, then knock on the privacy divider to let Roman know we're ready to depart. We haven't even reached the end of the block when she speaks. You have horrible taste in women. I look over. What does that say about you? She ignores me. I don't want her in my penthouse. I bite back the hour I want to correct her with. Instead, I tell her the truth. It won't be an issue. I have work lunches at the Carlisle. It takes me a minute to realize what she's saying. Another to wonder how the hell Scarlett knows that's where Hannah stays when she's in the city. That's not what I meant. She and I are done. Does she know that? Yes, I reply. Then, for some stupid reason that feels a lot like the loyalty she doesn't seem to want, I elaborate. I told her if she insulted you, I wouldn't talk to her again. Scarlett scoffs. Don't do me any favors. I exhale loudly. Now you're annoyed I'm not fucking her? No. I just. Are you sleeping with other people? I finally voice the question that's been bothering me for weeks. Not sure, she responds. I gnash my teeth together. Not sure what? Not sure you would call it sleeping. Fuck. She is. Who is he? You don't know him. Yeah, right. I know a lot of people. His name is Kyle. He's a surgeon. That's her type? A science nerd with a superiority complex? Bothers me more than I'm expecting. More than it should. If he's not part of our world, maybe she actually has real feelings for the guy. He sounds like a tool. Jealous? She taunts. That would require me caring what you do. Exactly. I force a chuckle out. It sounds empty to my ears, but I doubt she can tell the difference. That's not something you need to worry about. Great. Great, I echo. It's become predictable. The cycle of our conversations. The joking and the taunting and the silence. The way one of us is a little more open than the other. We're never in sync, never both willing to give without wanting to take. I pull out my phone and start to sort through emails that could all wait until Monday. At least my father will be happy about my initiative. He and Oliver got stranded in Miami due to a tropical storm. They traveled down south for some golfing and to meet with a commercial developer about offices for a new acquisition. In their extended absence, everything goes through me. I got home at 3 a.m. last night, or this morning technically. I finalized the branding for my new clothing line today. The sound of Scarlett's voice is so unexpected, it startles me. I figured she was working on her side of the car. It's called Rouge. That's what these drawings are for. I'm choosing a design team. I also approved the proofs for the August issue of Haute, and chose the articles for the September one. That was after I interviewed 5 secretaries, because Leah already has her hands full running my schedule at Haute and I need more help. Questions form. I know nothing about what she does on a daily basis. That's why I asked earlier. But that was before I knew how much of a sham she sees this marriage as. Before I knew she's fucked another guy with my ring on her finger. Anger and jealousy pool in my stomach like tar, dark and toxic. I don't give a single fuck what you do, Scarlett. Remember. I drawl the words like I have something better to do than to bother to say them, then continue scrolling through the hundreds of emails that have piled up. She flinches. I catch the subtle recoil out of the corner of my eye before she turns away from me to stare out at the city lights. Troublesome emotions harden, sinking down through me like an anchor. Why do I care? Why can't she? The rest of the ride is silent. Chapter 9. Scarlett. It's hard to say which is more oppressive, the July heat or the 5 women staring at me with the intensity of a firing squad. Are you and crew trying for kids? I bite back the sarcastic retorts that come to mind in response to Eileen Waldorf's probing question. I'm still a virgin. My husband is too busy with his mistresses. Maybe in a decade or two. Any of those comments would spread across the patio of my parents' Hamptons house like wildfire. I may have clawed my way to relevance and respect in parts of the business world, but it's come at the detriment of my standing among most of the women in New York society. My attempts to break out of the mold of marriage and kids haven't made me any friends. Eileen is only a year older than me. Before she married Daniel Waldorf last summer, she worked at a public relations agency. She had their first child a few months ago. It's not uncommon for women to work until they get married. I'm supposed to be joining the boards of charities and picking out nursery colors now that I'm Mrs. Kensington. Instead of answering Eileen's question with a sharp retort, I laugh and toss my hair. Just because I hate the game doesn't mean I can't play it. No, not yet. We're enjoying this time together. Just the 2 of us. Seeing as we got married a month ago, I keep that last part to myself. I know what's expected, and what passes as appropriate conversation, at these sorts of events. It's why I avoid as many of them as I can. But there was no avoiding the 4th of July party. I've attended every year for as long as I can remember. Eileen nods and smiles, accepting my bullshit answer without batting an eye. I have a feeling I'll be repeating it a lot. Enjoying is a stretch, but it's not a lie I'd like to wait to have kids. It's not that I don't want them, I do. But kids will erase distance between me and crew. Things between us are uncomfortable and awkward and I don't know how to change that. It should be what I want. It's exactly what I did want. I didn't realize he was making an effort until he stopped. Excuse me, ladies. His voice makes me stiffen. It gives me goosebumps despite the fact temperatures today are hovering in the 80s. Would you mind terribly if I steal my blushing bride away for a moment? Crew wraps an arm around my waist, acting the part of the doting husband so convincingly even I believe it for a second. I'm sure he can feel how tense I am. The ladies who were previously interrogating me all coo variations of how sweet and newlywed bliss. A couple of them are close to my mother's age. And yet they're all eyeing crew with the same appreciative gaze. He seems to coax out of every woman who sees him. I add his annoying attractiveness to the long list of things I'm currently bothered by. As soon as we're out of sight from the nosy women, his arm drops. I don't thank him for pulling me away, don't say anything to him. It's strange and uncomfortable having him here. Having to act like a happy couple when we're the furthest thing from one. We've barely exchanged 20 words since the car ride home from the Rutherford Gala. I'm pissed at him at myself. He's acting like the cold, aloof asshole I expected to find myself married to. And it bothers me. I miss the glimpses I got of the guy I don't think many people see. I hate how he's acting like I promise fidelity, like me and other men is more than just a blow to his male pride. I want to tell him it's a ridiculous double standard, that no one here would be surprised to hear he's cheated on me, but would be scandalized if I repeated what I told him in the limo. What I lied to him about in the limo. And that's the main reason I haven't made any attempt to repair the damage that ride home inflicted. The indifferent expression Crew wore. I thought my lies would at least dent his ego. I lied and I don't want to lie again. I was hurt and mad, so I made up a Hannah of my own. I was hoping for distance. Just not this heavy, oppressive sort where it feels like we both might care we're barely speaking. Did you need something? I take a sip from my glass, trying to ignore the spot on my back that still tingles where he touched me just a minute ago. He studies my movements. You're drinking. I raise both eyebrows, then deliberately look at the glass I'm holding. You expect me to get through this sober? Not at all. The more wasted you get, the fewer people will ask me if you're pregnant. We both know what the chances of that are. With my kid at least. I see as Andrew Spencer rounds the corner and nears where we're standing, erasing any opportunity to retort. Was that all, darling? For now, sweetheart. Crew has spotted Andrew as well. His tone has turned cordial. I'm sure I'll find another excuse to steal you away later. Can't wait, I chirp. Crew. I thought that was you. Andrew stops directly in front of us, blocking my immediate escape route. How have you been? Fine, Crew replies smoothly. You? How's Olivia? Good, good. Andrew's voice and expression are jovial as he looks at me. Scarlett. Wonderful to see you. I smile, but he's already turned back to Crew. I finish off my champagne while they talk. Haven't seen you since the wedding, Andrew says, frowning. How is everything at the company? The usual. Must be more hectic than usual. You haven't been out in a month. Everyone has been asking about you. Crew's eyes flick to me in a way so fast I almost miss it. I find fresh interest in the conversation. Yes. I've been busy. I didn't realize Crew and Andrew were this friendly. Honestly, I've never paid close attention to anyone he socializes with at the events we've overlapped attending over the years. I talk to everyone out of obligation, even those close to me in age. The girls I attended boarding school with always gossip, and the guys will slip in a suggestive comment or two between bragging about their investments. Busy. Right. Andrew's gaze is back on me. He's smirking, leaving no question as to how he took Crew's response. I should have known seeing Crew is why you wanted to come. Olivia Spencer saunters over to where the three of us are standing. I had every intention of making a hasty excuse and leaving Crew and Andrew to talk about whatever they want. But something, possibly the way Olivia's looking at Crew, keeps me in place. At least Olivia is being somewhat subtle in her appraisal, unlike Hannah Garner. But I can still see the interest in the way her eyes widen and her lips turn up coyly. Before we got married, I made a deliberate effort not to pay attention to gossip about Crew when other women were involved. I'm starting to recognize that might have been a mistake. These women think they know everything about me, while I have no idea what history they share with Crew. You've been complaining Crew hasn't been coming out, Olivia adds when none of us say anything. I don't miss the look she gives me as she does. It's obvious she blames me for the fact Crew hasn't been frequenting New York nightclubs, and I'm tempted to tell her I've actually done everything I could to ensure he spends as little time around me as possible. The petty part of me clinging on to the notion Crew Kensington is a means to an end, not someone who will mean something, is tempted to walk away. Instead, I decide to drop the act. Especially since Crew will think it's an act. I step closer to Crew. He's wearing a white button-down with the sleeves rolled up. His bare arm is pressed against mine now, sending small shockwaves across the surface of my skin. The electrifying sensation is almost enough to make me forget the purpose of this. I take the glass from Crew's hand and take a sip, almost draining the remnants of the smoky alcohol. Bourbon. My painted lips leave some red residue behind, and I place it back in his hand. Not the most subtle of gestures, and neither is the choice to use my left hand. Diamonds glint in the sunshine. I'm surprised you're still hitting the nightclubs, Olivia. Don't you think we should leave that to the teenagers? I feel Crew's eyes on me. Oh, I do. Aside from the occasional girls' night out. I'm sure you can appreciate that, Scarlett. You're so independent. Olivia's voice holds just as much sugar as mine as she edges back a half step from Crew. Yes, I am. Well, it's lovely to see you. This has become the only event I know I'll see you at. Work has been busy. Olivia's lips purse at the mention of Hote. You've worked miracles with that little magazine. I'd hardly even heard of it, and suddenly I see people mentioning it everywhere. I prefer to think of it as wise investing and effective marketing than miraculous, I reply. And didn't your father place a bid on my little magazine? I know he did. I outbid Joseph Adams by 10 million and have already made it back tenfold. I believe he considered it, Olivia replies. He decided print is a dying market. Pity. Our earnings statements tell a different story, I respond, savoring the way her lips tighten. Just what you need. More money, Olivia retorts, a bit of her sweetness dissolving. My thoughts exactly, I reply. Awkward silence falls. I'll let you two catch up, I add. But before I walk away, I turn my head and whisper into Cru's ear. I'm not getting wasted tonight. We're sharing a bed after all. I don't wait for his reaction to the implication. I smile at the Spencers and then head toward the pool. When we reach the sand, I kick my heels off. The feel of the rough grains between my toes lightens the anxieties I've carried around all night. Rachel and Penelope, 2 women I went to boarding school with, are laughing and stumbling as we approach the roaring bonfire built on the beach. A bottle of Dom Perignon dangles between Rachel's fingers as she talks a million miles an hour, occasionally almost falling flat on her face. The bonfire is an annual 4th of July tradition I've never participated in, which is something Penelope has pointed out 3 times in the 10 minutes it's taken to walk the boardwalk from my parents' place to here in the dark. It's exactly what I pictured it to be. Forced small talk with my social peers is one thing. I've seen too many fake smiles followed by backhanded compliments. As an Ellsworth, I've always been held to a higher standard. I know it, so does everyone else. People on pedestals appear perfect, until they fall. I'm no longer an Ellsworth though. I'm a Kensington. Untouchable. Not only is Cru rich and connected, people like him. We reach the group loosely gathered around the flickering flames. I glance over familiar faces, taking a quick inventory of everyone here. Basically everyone who was at my parents' party under the age of 30. I catch Cru's gaze across the fire. He's standing with a group of guys, looking more relaxed than I've ever seen him. There's no tie or suit in sight. Just a pair of navy swim trunks and a white button-down that's mostly unbuttoned. His hair is mussed. By the wind. Or by something else. Would he do that? At my parents' party with me present? I don't know. I haven't seen him since our interaction with the Spencers. If he wanted to, he easily could have slipped away for a while. Rachel pops the champagne with a squeal, drawing my attention back to her and Penelope. Sprays of white foam hit the sand as she directs the stream of golden liquid into the crystal glasses Penelope carried down. I take the offered one with a thanks. Bubbles tickle my throat as I down half of it in one sip. Down here in the dark I feel different. I don't feel on display. The compulsion to appear perfect and know exactly what to say is gone. Familiar warmth trickles through my veins as I drain my glass, lightening and loosening my movements. I'm comfortable enough to chime in on Rachel and Penelope's commentary. Soon they're taking bets on who is most likely to go skinny dipping. I laugh as they recount previous year's anecdotes while deciding who's likely to go for a repeat. What about Cru? I ask when he's the only guy they haven't mentioned. Rachel and Penelope exchange a look. Cru never comes to the Hamptons in the summer, Rachel tells me. Oh. People had bets on today, you know. She laughs at my surprised expression. Don't worry, I bet he'd be here. Only idiots didn't. They're the same people who call you a stuck-up bitch. They should know better. Penelope hisses. Rachel. I don't react. I know that's how people see me. It's different to hear it spoken in such blunt terms though. Rachel shrugs. What? It's hard not to hate someone who gets everything she wants. My walls go up. I'm going to find a restroom. The nearest house is the Kingsleys. Technically we're on their stretch of private beach, but I don't actually have any intention of going to the bathroom. I'll stay long enough to make it clear no one chased me off, and then head back to my parents. My plan all along was to go to bed early tonight. For the first time, I'll be sharing a bed with my husband. Ideally, I'll be fast asleep by the time he heads to bed. I paused by the fire. Now that the sun is gone, the heat from the flames counters the cool sea breeze. Got chilly, huh? I don't turn right away. A second seems necessary. When I glance back, he's closer than I expected. You sure you never wanted to become a meteorologist? You seem to have a strange fascination with the weather. I'm sure. No one else finds your fascination strange? Cru sort of laughs, but it quickly turns into a sigh. I don't know what else to say to you, Scarlett. I look away like I always do when we gravitate toward anything meaningful. You don't need to check in on me. Go have fun. He's so close I can feel his sigh. His chest expands and his breath weaves through my hair as he exhales. I wait for his retreat, for his body to move away. Instead, he puts his hands on my waist and spins me around. So fast I have no time to react or protest. We're even closer now. Mere inches separate our faces as his hands loosen their grip on my hips. I don't do things I don't want to do, Scarlett. If I don't want to check on you, I won't. If I don't want to spend time with you, I won't. Okay. I say the word softly. Too loud. And it might shatter this moment the way words have done before. Okay. His echo is just as quiet. The first firework startles me. It explodes in a spectacular display of sound and color, illuminating the shore and the sea and all the surrounds previously hidden by the night. The burning wood and the moonlight were weak in comparison. Distant strains of music from the house and the rhythmic battering of waves on the sand seem muffled. Another explosion lights up the sky, sending pink arcs flying that fizzle and drift back down, followed by another and another and another. Laughter and shouts are audible nearby, but I pay them no attention. I'm consumed by the sight of the dazzling display that keeps replacing the lingering smoke. I turn so I'm facing the fireworks, but I don't pull away from his hold. I lean into it literally, resting my back against his front. Crew's arms remain looped loosely around my waist, warm and secure and strong. This moment feels magical, and I know it's not the fireworks I'm watching or the champagne flowing through my bloodstream. I resign myself to marrying Crew. He was the best of decent options. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Our relationship is supposed to be based on mutual understandings and airtight legal documents, not on trust and lust and all the other things squeezing my chest right now. Exciting, terrifying feelings. I can't leave him, can never walk away. When he gets sick of being the doting husband in domestic life, I'll be the one stuck waiting at home. That will only hurt if I let it. I tell myself I won't, even as I relax my body against his and ignore the envious looks aimed my way. Crew may have married me for my money and my name, but he did choose to marry me. He doesn't do things he doesn't want to, like he just said. Who do you think came up with this? I tilt my head back so I can see his profile. Came up with what? The fireworks for the 4th. What about a bloody war says let's light up the sky? They're celebratory, I reply. My mom wanted fireworks for our reception. Really? His hand glides around the curve of my hip. It's an innocent movement, a shift in position. Yet it sets my skin on fire. It's been months since I had sex. I blame that for the awareness pooling in my stomach. We're sharing a room tonight. A bed. Up until now, I didn't think there was a chance anything might happen. My comment earlier was a tease, a reminder that we haven't before. Now, I'm consumed by the possibility that something could happen, that I might want it to. Really, I confirm. Why didn't we have fireworks at our reception then? I told her no. You weren't celebrating. It's not a question but a statement. They're bad for the environment. He chuckles against my hair, and I feel the vibrations everywhere. So is flying private. Nobody's perfect. He's still laughing. There's a strange gooey sensation in my chest, like something is melting inside of me. Rapid bursts of color pepper the heavens, signaling the start of the finale. We're both silent through the end of it, staying still as the final flashes fade. When the display ends, the magic disappears with it. I feel awkward standing here with him holding me, not comfortable the way I was moments ago. I clear my throat. I should head back up. Crew doesn't move or react for a few seconds. When his hands do drop, I experience disappointment, not relief. I'll walk you back up. He's expecting a you don't have to do that. I bite it back and turn so I'm facing him. Okay. There's no triumph on his face, only excitement. Let me grab my shoes from the gazebo. You changed, I state, like an idiot who blurts out the obvious. Yeah. Some of the guys wanted to swim earlier. Just the guys. The clarification is out before I can stop it. Just the guys, he confirms. I manage a small jerky nod. This time there's relief. Be right back. I watch him spin and walk away, admiring how his shoulders shift as he strides. The way his swim trunks hug his thighs and butt. It's one night. People have one-night stands all the time. I've had one-night stands. It doesn't have to mean anything. I have another trip to Paris next week. That will force some distance between us. I can do this. I cannot care. Commotion distracts me from the internal pep talk. I squint in the direction of the Kingsley's gazebo, trying to make out the two figures standing near it. One of them throws a punch and the shape on the receiving end goes down like a parachuting stone. I react without thinking, running in that direction along with everyone else in the vicinity. The upper class prefers backstabbing to brawls. If you have a problem with someone, you say it to their face in a sweet tone. You don't rearrange it. And the last thing I'm expecting when I reach the huddle that's formed around the fight is for Crew to be the one standing, sporting red knuckles and a murderous expression. I rush forward, my path unencumbered as soon as everyone realizes who I am. People are scrambling to get out of my way. What the fuck are you doing? I shout once I reach him, looking between Crew's furious face and Camden Crane, who's sitting in the sand sporting a split lip. Blood dribbles from Camden's mouth as he begins laughing. I would have said it to your face, Kensington. She must have a. Crew lunges forward and hits him again. Camden will have a black eye tomorrow to match his swollen mouth. I make the stupid decision not to walk away and ignore whatever is happening. Anyone else I would. Instead, I shove Crew's chest, feeling the adrenaline and animosity radiating off him. He's breathing heavily. Crew, what is going on? What are you doing? He doesn't answer either question, just keeps glaring at the guy on the ground. I look around at the assembled onlookers, trying to read the situation. Obviously Camden said something that pissed Crew off, badly enough to convince Crew to disfigure his face. Penelope and Rachel both have hands over their mouths looking shocked. But it's the men that I linger on. They all look cowed nervous. Even Andrew Spencer, who I thought considered Crew a friend. None of them will make eye contact with me. Camden laughs again. He wipes his bottom lip, smearing blood across his chin. Didn't think you were the type to get your hands dirty. I thought you were the type who knew when to shut your mouth. Crew snaps. I just had the balls to say what everyone else here was thinking. That true? Crew's gaze lifts, roving across the assembled onlookers. Heads shake everywhere. A cruel smile twists Crew's lips as he looks back down at Camden. Try me again, Crane. Please. I'd love to make you completely irrelevant, not just mostly, the way you are now. Once that parting shot has made its mark, Crew turns and strides in the direction of the path that leads back to my parents. After a minute of hesitation, I follow. My mind is spinning in circles. Based on the whispers and side glances, I had some unintentional involvement in what just took place. I can't recall the last time I spoke to Camden Crane. I have no idea what he could have said to set Crew off. I had no idea Crew could get set off by something about me. He was protecting me, defending me, and I have no idea at all how to process that. The walk back is dim. My eyes adjusted to the brilliant fireworks and the glow of the bonfire. The weak moonlight is barely enough to pick my way along the boardwalk that weaves between stalks of beach grass. Salty air blows strands of hair across my face. I breathe deeply, trying to center myself. I thought things between me and Crew would settle naturally, that we would find some routine that allowed us to reap the benefits of this arrangement, without compromising our individual goals. But more and more, it's feeling like things between us are being permanently decided. The disconnect between us feels like it's hardening and callousing. The decisions we're both making feel like they'll matter. Like they'll define what the rest of our relationship looks like for however long it lasts. When I reach the edge of the patio, I hesitate. I should slip inside and rejoin the party, play the perfect hostess and give Crew a chance to cool off. I walk inside, but instead of following the sound of talking and laughter, I slip up the back stairwell that leads to the second floor. The door to my usual bedroom is ajar, even though I'm certain I closed it before heading downstairs earlier. I push it open to reveal the room is empty and dark, but the bathroom light is on. I close the door behind me and drop my heels in a heap, announcing my arrival. Silently, I pad across the jute rug over to the doorway that leads to the end suite. Crew is standing at the sink washing his hands. The water runs pink. I lean against the doorway debating what to say. I settle on, "Are you okay?" "Fine." His tone is as short as his response. I stay in place as he shuts off the tap and dries his hands, avoiding the cut on one knuckle. "You should put some hydrogen peroxide on that." He doesn't reply. I shove away from the doorframe, walking over to him. Tension is still radiating off him as I brush against his arm, so I can lean over and pull the brown bottle out of the cabinet. I grab a few cotton balls as well. "Sit." I nod toward the edge of the tub as I soak the cotton with liquid. The harsh chemical smell burns my nose. Crew hesitates before he complies. I watch him out of the corner of my eye as he perches on the marble. The bathroom is big, as large as the one in my penthouse, but it feels tiny with his presence. I study the golden hairs on his tan arms, the way his shirt pulls taut across his shoulders, the blue eyes that see more than I mean to show. Satisfied the cotton is soaked, I cross the tile and crouch down so I can dab the ball on the split between his knuckles. For a few seconds the only sound is our breathing. Crew speaks first. "You know, I've imagined you in this position before. Never doing this, though." I meet his gaze for a minute. A few retorts are on the tip of my tongue, some dirtier than he probably thinks I'm capable of. But I don't want our first time to be like this. So I ask a question I'm pretty sure will douse any more innuendo. Why don't you like the Hamptons? I like them fine. His response is nonchalant. There's emotion underneath it though, underscored in the way his jaw tightens and his eyes darken. This close, I can't not register the subtle changes. Then why don't you come here in the summer? Who told you that? I keep dabbing. Rachel Archibald. It's a good thing we had a short engagement. If the number of "you're not good enough for him" comments I heard today are the amount after the wedding, who knows what it would have been like before. Who said "you're not good enough for me"? Rather than gloating, his expression is more of a glower. I know what people think of me. I get everything I want without working for it, apparently. You work 100-hour weeks, Scarlett. Fuck anyone who says that. I don't say what I'm thinking. You probably already did. I'm sick of the jibes. He uses his uninjured hand to tilt my chin up. I mean it. You're Scarlett Ellsworth. You don't care what anyone thinks. I'm good at acting like I don't. More honest than I meant to be. You don't have to act around me. I don't answer at first. I lift his right hand so I can inspect the cut on his hand more closely. His knuckles are pink and swollen, but at least he's no longer bleeding. Kensington. Huh. I drop his hand and throw the cotton balls into the trash can before I stand up. You called me Scarlett Ellsworth. It's Scarlett Kensington. His smile makes me wish I'd stayed sitting. I'm going to head back downstairs. He nods. I flee. I put my heels back on and step out into the hallway. I need space. Time. Distance. Crew is confusing. Everything about him is confusing. What he says. What he does. What he doesn't say. What he doesn't do. And the way I feel around him is the most confusing of all. Going into this marriage I had one goal. To make Crew see me as an equal. I've retained all the power I had when I agreed to marry him. I didn't consider any of the other ways I might want Crew to see me. I'm worried, terrified, what the repercussions of admitting I want things between us to be real might be. But continuing along the way we have isn't tenable. Rather than walk downstairs, I head into one of the other guest rooms down the hall. I feel like being alone. There's a love seat in the corner I curl up on. I lose track of time as I lie there and replay today in my head. Once the sounds downstairs grow quieter and quieter, I stand and walk back down to my room. The bedroom is dark and the bathroom light is on just like before. But there's a big lump in the left side of the bed. I tiptoe into the bathroom to brush my teeth and wash my face. When I step back into the bedroom, Crew's asleep. Or he's doing a convincing job of pretending he is. He's not wearing a shirt either. Until this evening, I'd rarely seen my husband in anything but a suit. I lean against the doorframe and look at him. His skin is golden. I'm not sure when he has the chance to absorb any vitamin D. He seems to work almost as much as I do. His tan stands out against the white sheets loosely draped over the abdomen that's impressively defined even while relaxed. He must work out. When I have no clue. That realization bothers me. I've spent the past couple of weeks living with him, and I learned more when I was spying on security footage from across the Atlantic. Getting to know Crew terrifies me. The little I already know intrigues me. The reasons for this marriage were supposed to be the real part. The money, the opportunities, the empire our combined resources would form. Me and him were supposed to be fake. Instead, the empire feels fake. Leaning against Crew earlier felt very real. What happened to her? That girl who didn't care? There was a very recent time when I didn't second-guess anything. When I wasn't tempted to leave work early. When I didn't get distracted. When blue eyes didn't haunt my thoughts. A tiny corner of my heart whispers the answer. She married Crew Kensington. I turn off the bathroom light and tiptoe across the floor until I reach my suitcase. It takes me a few minutes to sort through my belongings in the dark, but I finally find a silky nightgown. Slipping under warm sheets feels foreign. The bed is usually cold when I climb into it. I huddle as close to the edge of the mattress as I can without falling off it. Even though I can't see or feel him, I can sense him. Smell his shampoo. Hear his breathing. Once I've accepted I won't be falling asleep anytime soon, I slip out of bed and pad toward the door. The hallway is empty and quiet. I head downstairs and cross the cold tile of the entryway that leads into the living room. French doors line the far wall overlooking the pool. I pause by the bookcase to grab the well-worn copy of Gone with the Wind, and then type the security code into the keypad by the fridge. It flashes green, indicating the alarm has been disabled. There's no sign of the party that took place earlier. Every surface gleams spotless. I grab a wineglass, an unopened bottle, and an opener, then head outside. The moon casts a luminous glow that coats everything. I settle on one of the chairs that line the edge of the pool. The cork pops on the first try. I pour myself a generous glass and then settle back against the cushions, taking the occasional sip as I stare out at the stretch of private beach that buttresses the backyard from the ocean. Then I pick up the book and start to read. Chapter 11. Scarlet. As Audrey said, Paris is always a good idea. And ever since I became editor-in-chief of Haute, trips to France's capital city have become common. This particular visit is one I've been dreading and anticipating. I'm here to approve final designs and fabrics for Rouge. Once everything is in place, I'll go public with the announcement. It's a daunting prospect. I'm worried I'll fail. Fashion is a hard industry to break into no matter how much money you have. You can't buy success. And if I fail, I'll fail as Scarlett Kensington. Right now, I'm more focused on my companion for this trip than anything else. I wasn't expecting for Crew to back me up with my dad in the Hamptons. I was expecting for him to stay in New York. Apparently, he meant it when he said he was coming with me. Things have been tenuous between us since the 4th. Not awkward, the way they were before we left for the Hamptons. It took me a few days to process everything that happened in the short span of time. Those same days were spent logging long hours finalizing the September issue of Haute and preparing for this trip. And then he was waiting at the airport when I arrived for my flight, since Leah shares all my travel details with his secretary. I made the mature decision to pretend to sleep for the duration of the 6-hour flight. Crew hasn't said much since we arrived. So far we've checked in at the hotel, met with 2 of my fabric suppliers, and now we're at the French Open. Jacqueline Perrault is a friend from Harvard and heiress to Europe's premier department store. Securing her interest in Rouge will be paramount to its success, so turning down an invitation to watch a morning match from her box wasn't really an option. Scarlett Ellsworth. How lovely to see you. Richard Cavendish has come to stand beside me in the executive suite I'm watching the match from. Richard is the vice president of a prominent French publication. Our paths inevitably cross at many of the social events I attend here. I believe he's the only person who considers himself charming. I take a sip of mimosa before answering. Just like with most of the men in my social circle, it's less painful to converse with Richard slightly buzzed. Nice to see you too, Richard. Here on business? Always, I reply coolly, watching his gaze sweep up and down the white eyelet dress I'm wearing. It's modest with capped sleeves and falling to my calves, but Richard's eyes are heated by the time they arrive at my signature red lips. His bottom lip curls as his gaze moves to the left hand holding the glass, and the large diamond resting on my ring finger. So the rumors are true. You got married. Rumors? You don't trust the hundreds of papers that reported on it. Richard's eyes fill with annoyance. I have more important things to do with my time than troll the society pages. The merging of the Ellsworth and Kensington families made it into plenty of respectable European papers, as Richard well knows. Kensington Consolidated and Ellsworth Enterprises both have international holdings. I could have ignored my father's wishes and married Richard. He wouldn't have contributed as much to my net worth and I find him irksome and boring, but he would have been better for my sanity than Crew Kensington. Because if Richard Cavendish had spent the last half an hour talking to a pretty blonde tennis player, I would feel relieved not to have to engage in a bothersome exchange of words with him. Crew choosing to do so has left me marinating in a mixture of rage and jealousy. This is why you shouldn't marry for love. Not that I love Crew. I just find him mildly entertaining and annoyingly attractive. And after he made me come in seconds, I might have strong feelings toward his tongue. Your husband seems to be enjoying the match, Richard comments, following my gaze. I don't reply. I turn back to watch the green ball get smashed over the net, and I wish I also had something to hit right now. Is Kensington here on business too? Richard needles. A possessive hand slides to the small of my back. Even before the scent of his expensive cologne reaches me, I know it's Crew. A trail of heat lingers behind the pressure of his palm, and I suppress a shiver by taking yet another sip. At this rate I'll need a refill soon. Which would probably be a bad idea since, as was just established, I'm here on business. Not pleasure. Nope. All pleasure, Cavendish. Crew's deep voice rumbles from behind me. At some point, you should sit back and enjoy the spoils, don't you agree? I couldn't agree more, Richard replies. I know his agreeable tone means he thinks the opposite. But I find it disheartening you're ready to sit back so soon. You wouldn't want anyone to think you only got the job because of your father. Are you planning to live off your wife? I feel Crew's hand flex against my spine, but his voice is smooth as butter when he replies. I must have missed you becoming a self-made billionaire, Cavendish. Must be because the papers you own don't really talk about you at all. Richard's face turns an ugly shade of puce. Scarlett, lovely to see you as always. My condolences on your choice of groom. He stalks off in the direction of the private bar. I turn my gaze back to the tennis match. Crew's hand remains on my back, searing through the thin material. Interesting choice in conversationalist. I could say the same to you, I reply loftily. I can hear a smile in Crew's voice. She approached me. For some stupid reason I feel obligated to respond. So did he. I know. I saw. You were watching? Always red. He can't see my face, so I don't bother to hide my smile. After the tennis match ends, I promise Jacqueline I'll meet her for breakfast tomorrow morning. She spent most of the match flirting with Henrik Popov, who is the odds-on favorite to win the French Open, instead of discussing business. Where to next? Crew asks as we leave the private box. Truthfully, I don't have anything definitive planned until dinner with Jacques tonight. Admitting that feels like a weakness, as stupid as that sounds. I rely on looking busy around Crew. Work is always an excuse, something I know he'll respect. I have nothing planned until dinner, I admit. Dinner with who? Jacques. He's the super in-demand guy you skipped our wedding night for. Yeah, I remember. He sounds jealous. You can come if you want. I don't want to get in the way. I smile. If anyone will be in the way, it's me. His brow creases with confusion, interrupting his previously bored expression. Jacques is gay, Crew. If you come to dinner, I guarantee he'll hit on you. Jacques' sexual orientation is a pointless clarification, one I only make because I still feel guilty for lying to him about my pretend lover. His only response is to walk toward the exit. I scurry after him a few seconds later. Crew weaves through the crowds without so much as a jostle. Even among people who have no clue who he is, he's not the sort of guy you mow over. He halts when we reach the sidewalk, leaning down to talk to a driver of one of the many cabs lining the street. After a minute, he stands and beckons me over. What are you doing? I ask, pulling out my phone. I can call. Get in. I have a car here. I know you do. We rode here in it. Get in, Scarlett. Part of me wants to argue for the sake of it. I don't like to defer to anyone about anything. But a bigger part of me wants to listen, craves the dominance Crew commands so easily. Silently, I listen. He doesn't walk around to the other side of the cab. I realize he's waiting for me to slide over. There's something normal about it, so different from the limo rides we've shared in the past. I slide, feeling the fabric of my dress bunch up around my thighs as I glide across the leather. Crew pays more attention to my bare legs than he did to the tennis match. Where are we going? I ask as the car begins to move. You'll see, is all he says. I focus on the scenery passing by. We drive by the Louvre and the Arc de Triomphe. When the car stops, it's by an even more iconic landmark. I look at Crew. Seriously? Yep. We can send a photo to your mom to prove we went sightseeing. That I smile. Reluctantly, Crew pays the driver, and we join the long line of people walking toward the Eiffel Tower. Have you climbed it before? Crew asks as we walk. No, I admit. Me neither. Crew navigates us to the one-ticket window without a long line. I stare up at the wrought iron lattice tower as he buys our tickets. Minutes later, we're approaching the start of the steps. Crew is studying the map he took from the ticket window. It's annoyingly adorable. All of a sudden he stops walking. Shit. I stop too. What? I glance around trying to figure out what's wrong. When I look back at Crew, he's staring at me with wide, worried eyes. You're scared of heights. I stare back at him, shocked that he remembered. Then I smile. It's okay. As long as we're not parachuting when we get to the top, I'll be fine. Are you sure? He still looks concerned. We can go do something else. It's going to be a real challenge to see Crew as cold and callous ever again. I'm sure. It's more of a control thing. I have more faith in the Eiffel Tower staying upright than I did in that one rope at the rock gym keeping me in the air. I don't share the other difference between that outing and today's. The state of my relationship with Crew. Crew starts walking again. Okay. Stairs or elevator? I wore flats today. Even if I hadn't, I still would answer. Stairs. He grins. That's my girl. I know he doesn't mean it literally, at least I don't think he does, but the words still send a silly thrill through me. Butterflies flock in my stomach like the most popular guy in school just handed me his Letterman jacket to wear. As we climb, more and more of Paris is spread below us. I spot Parc de Belleville and Champ de Mars. We reach the first observation deck and start up the second set of stairs. Do you work out? I ask halfway up the third flight. Crew laughs. Your pickup lines need work. I roll my eyes because I'm too short of breath to scoff. I'm serious. Yeah, I do. You have a private gym, you know? I know. I just don't use it. Yeah, I realized that when I cleared an inch of dust off the treadmill. I smile. Bullshit. Martha would never let that happen. Fine. It was more like a quarter inch. When do you work out? He slants a glance my way. After you leave. I work out, shower, eat breakfast, and then head into the office. Why after I leave? His eyes are still on me. Mine stay straight ahead. You tried to avoid me. I'm not going to make it more difficult for you. I left for work at 7 before we got married. I dance around what he's really saying and he doesn't press the point. We reach the next landing. Crew pauses. I halt too, watching as he grabs the railing with one hand and grabs his ankle with his other. He balances on one leg and bends the other back. What's wrong? I have an old knee injury. Just need to stretch for a minute. A knee injury from what? I played football in high school. I snort. Of course you did. The patron sport of jerky jocks everywhere. I am awfully judgmental. Yeah. He smirks. I've noticed. I don't like the familiar way he's looking at me, and I like it too much. So what happened? Huh. Your knee. What happened to it? Oh, Chris Jenkins hit me with an illegal tackle junior year. I twisted a tendon, and it still flares up sometimes. He shakes his head with a smile. Asshole. Is there film footage of you getting knocked on your ass? No. I think you're lying. I think you'll never know. You should have played a non-contact sport in high school. Like crew maybe. He laughs. And it's not a laugh I've heard from him before. It's a warm, rough, masculine sound that feels like standing in front of a fire drinking hot chocolate. A comforting burn. Pretty proud of yourself for coming up with that, Red? I smile. A little. We climb the final few flights in silence. If Crew's knee is still bothering him, he doesn't say anything about it. He keeps up with me easily as we reach the top observation deck, and glimpse Paris spread out in front of us. Wow. I'm used to closing off my emotions and reactions. I'm always ready with the right answer or a snappy retort, never caught off guard or confused, never appreciating where I am or what I'm doing. It's exhausting, and a guard I usually only let down when I'm alone. I never expected to be myself around Crew Kensington. I've seen plenty of people navigate arranged marriages with minimal interaction. I expected us to be no different. It's disconcerting realizing we might be. That I like him. Might have chosen to marry him even if his net worth was half of what it is, or non-existent. A couple of girls who look like they're in college ask Crew to take a picture of them. I lean against the railing and eyeball their interaction. Everywhere we go, Crew seems to command female attention. The women at Proof, Hannah Garner, Olivia Spencer, the blonde tennis player. It's not that I don't see Crew's appeal, I do. It's that I'm torn. Staking a claim, admitting my attraction comes with risks. Once I lay down my metaphorical cards, that's it. I'll have skin in the game, and it will get rubbed raw when Crew cheats. For all the attention he gets, I've never seen him flirt with a woman. At most he seems to allow women to flirt with him. Even now, with two pretty girls in their early 20s drooling over him, he seems uninterested. He's smiling, but it doesn't reach his eyes. He doesn't look at them the way he was just looking at me. I wish I could blame the happy feeling on the fact I'm standing at the top of the Eiffel Tower on a perfect summer day. I think it has more to do with him. Rather than continue spying, I look out at the city. There's a light breeze that counteracts some of the summer heat, blowing my hair out of my face. Scarlet. I glance over to see Crew beckoning me over. I walk over to where he is standing with the two women. Neither of them appear thrilled by my appearance. This is Natasha and Blair, he introduces. They're from New York too. Awesome. You could hear the fakeness in my voice from outer space. I don't have to see Crew smile. I can hear it in his voice. Natasha goes to Parsons. He looks to the lighter of the two blondes. Scarlett is the editor-in-chief of Haute. There's an unmistakable note of pride in his voice that wreaks havoc on my nervous system. Oh my God. Really? Suddenly Natasha and Blair are looking at me with awe, not annoyance. I love Haute. I read every issue cover to cover. The articles, the photography, the design. All my friends are obsessed with it. Each month, I get the number for Haute circulation. I judge the success of the magazine on how much money it is making and which models or actresses want to be featured on the cover. But I've never seen the hero worship on someone's face as they realize I approved every page. Can you sign this? Natasha pulls a worn copy of the July issue out of her bag and holds it out to me, along with a pen. Zure. I take the pen and scribble my signature just below the bold font spelling out Haute. Natasha takes the magazine back like it's a priceless treasure. Would one of you mind taking a photo of us? Crew asks, holding his phone out. I'm surprised, but I try not to show it. Aside from our wedding photos, we don't have any together. I didn't think he would want any. Blair takes Crew's phone as he pulls me toward the railing. I trip over nothing and slam into his chest. If you wanted to stand this close, all you had to do was ask, he whispers as he pulls me to him. I smile as his arms tighten around my waist, pinning me against him. Got it, Blair announces. Without looking, I know what moment she captured. Crew thanks her and we say goodbye before moving farther down the observation deck. I snap a few photos of the view while Crew fiddles with something on his phone. Do you not have an Instagram? What? There's a Scarlett Ellsworth, but I seriously doubt you posted this. He shows me the screen of his phone. It's a photo of me walking down the street talking on the phone. What the hell? I grab his phone and squint at it. The photo got 43,000 likes. Crew takes his phone back. So no. Technically, I run Hote's account, but I have someone who posts content for me. He smirks as he types. Of course you do. I'm not tagging a fashion magazine. Tagging in what? I'm posting the photo of us. I'm not sure what to say to that. Why? Is the only response I can think of. Then I come up with a worse one. Does Hannah Garner follow you? I don't know, I've never checked. Why? When I muster the courage to meet his gaze, his eyes are dancing with mirth he's not even attempting to hide. You know why, I mutter. He grins. Want me to check? Block her. No, I start walking toward the exit. Takes us half the time to walk down the stairs that it did to climb up. Once we're back on solid ground, Crew leaves for the restroom. As soon as he's out of sight, I open the Instagram app on my phone and search for his name. Despite the fact he's only posted a handful of photos, he has millions of followers. The photos are mostly of scenery, Copenhagen and London and New York City. A couple feature the two guys from his bachelor party, Asher and Jeremy. One was taken in Boston. I recognize the bar from college. And then there's the photo of us he just posted. I bite my bottom lip when I see what he wrote as the caption. Exploring Paris with the most beautiful woman in the world. She outshines all the sights. I scroll down through some of the comments. A good number of them are suggestive ones involving Crew. Those don't surprise me. The ones that do are the ones that read gorgeous couple and you guys look so happy in marriage goals. I tap back on the photo, trying to scrutinize the image the way a total stranger would. We do look happy. We're both smiling. I know mine wasn't forced and Crew's doesn't look like it was either. His arms are wrapped around my middle and his chin is resting on the top of my head. Thriving greenery and stone monuments are obvious in the background behind us. I search his followers and learn Hannah is one of them. A petty part of me is pleased. Ready to go? The sound of his voice startles me. Yep. I slip my phone back into my bag. You're free until dinner? Crew confirms as we cross the lawn and head back toward the street. Are you dying to go back to the hotel and do work? For once I'm not. I try not to read into the realization. Not if you make me a better offer. Crew shoots me a shocked look that I'm not certain is entirely exaggerated. Something can trump work for you? Shut up. I shove his shoulder. I'm not that bad. You're worse. But I respect it. Anyone who says you've had everything handed to you. They're wrong, Scarlett. You were handed to me. I point out. He stops and pulls me to the side of the walkway so quickly I crash into his chest again. I step back like he scalded me. Crew grins, but it disappears quickly. Just to be clear, there are times I disagree with my dad. I argue with him. I don't listen to him. Those moments don't make it into the press. They aren't on display in public. I get why you think I'm Arthur Jr. But I'm not Scarlett. When I step up as CEO, I'll make changes to the company. I could have married Hannah or some other woman. I could have married anyone. I married you, Scarlett. That means something, even if you want to pretend that it doesn't. Okay. Honestly, I no longer view Crew as an extension of his father. I only wish I did. It would make a lot of things easier. Crew sighs like my answer is a disappointment. Okay. I clear my throat. Can you send me the photo? What? The photo of us. Can you send it to me? Surprise flashes across his face. Yeah, sure. We start walking again. My phone vibrates with a message as we reach the sidewalk. Crew heads for the line of taxis while I wait. I check my phone and see the photo came through from him. It's the first message he's ever sent me. I text the photo to my mom. It's the first photo in our chain of messages, mostly one she sent me related to the wedding that I never responded to. I tuck my phone away and walk over to where Crew is standing. He needs to know where we're going, he says, nodding toward the driver.
Versailles.
I suggest. I've been before, but it's been years. Cru's smile is blinding. That sounds a lot like sightseeing. I heard you love sightseeing. He smiles. Is it a better offer? I nod. Let's go. Jacques is already seated at the table when we enter the restaurant. Our trip to Versailles ate up most of the afternoon. I fully intended to head back to the hotel and change before dinner, but there wasn't time. Not that it matters. Jacques is far more focused on Cru than what I'm wearing. I get a cursory greeting before he starts bombarding Cru with questions. I mouth-told you at Cru when he glances at me. His answering smile makes my insides feel like shaken champagne. Today has been wonderful and terrible. I've thought about starting my own fashion line since college. This trip is the culmination of years of planning. Haute served as an unplanned springboard to making connections in the fashion industry that made Rouge more attainable. A clothing line might be a pursuit most people look down upon. It's not as refined as finance or any Wall Street dealings. My father certainly thinks it's shallow and silly. But that's the beauty of dreams. They're yours. No one else's. You don't need permission or justification to pursue them. You can give them relevance and importance and meaning all by yourself. Unfortunately for my heart, Cru doesn't seem to share my dad's opinion. Between strolling the gardens and wandering the halls of the palace, he asked me questions about Rouge and listened to the answers. Either he's extremely dedicated to getting me into bed, or he actually cares how I spend my time, energy, and money. I spend most of dinner studying him. This is the first time I've seen Cru in what isn't his element. He's not here to pursue a deal for Kensington Consolidated. I doubt he knows much, if anything, about the fashion industry. Jacques isn't someone he'd have common acquaintances with. And yet he's thriving. Charming. This was meant to be a business dinner. Every meal I shared with Jacques during my last trip here was spent brainstorming or flipping through sketches. Tonight, there's no sign of the manic energy usually buzzing around him like a swarm of bees, tossing out ideas at the speed of light. Jacques is relaxed and laughing. So is Cru. I'm the interloper, growing more and more annoyed as they chat like old friends instead of strangers. This is my trip. My endeavor. My domain. Our lives were supposed to stay separate. Suddenly they're so entangled I can't look past him. I excuse myself and head to the restroom after we finish eating, not even sure they'll notice my disappearance. After I've used the bathroom, I linger at the sink, dabbing my face with a paper towel and checking my teeth for food. When I open the restroom door, Cru is leaning across the opposite wall with his arms crossed. I know your French isn't great, but you're not blind. The stick figure wearing a dress means this is the women's restroom. Men's must be down there. I jerk my head to the left, where the hallway extends. On a scale of 1 to bitchy, I'm at an 11. He says nothing at first, which is the worst possible response. Cru has become the one person I can rely on to challenge me. I crave that from him, more than financial security or fidelity. I want him to see me as an equal and as a partner, because that's the way I see him. The muscles of his jaw shift as he visibly clenches it, holding in whatever he was going to reply with. I wait and it spills out. What the fuck, Scarlett? The question is basically spat at me. I want to smile, but I don't. What the fuck, what, Cru? I can't win with you. No matter what I do. I came here to support you. And I watch tennis for hours and try to get to know you and make small talk with your... I don't even know what Jacques does for you. And you act like I'm in your way. He's too good at all of this. I know how to play the game of secrets and lies and deceit, of betrayal and sweeping mistakes under the rug. I know how to handle the Cru I talked to at Proof, who looked at me with total indifference. The guy who would greet me with a perfunctory, bland "you look nice" and then ignored me for the rest of the night. I'm not equipped to handle the Cru who came here to support me, who makes me feel special, same as he does with everyone else. He's the sun and I'm Icarus, after he learned his lesson. I didn't ask you to do any of that. I snap. I didn't ask you to come. I didn't want you to come. He shakes his head, laughs, scoffs. If this is you trying, I can't imagine how you'll act when you're about to file for divorce. I don't react to them, but I feel the words hit me like a physical slap. I meant it when I told him I'd try. He's staining that moment, that memory, dragging it through this ugly argument. I spent all afternoon trying. If I hadn't, I would have been holed up in the hotel working. Ignoring each other except to exchange insults wasn't tenable. Neither is the happy couple we pretended to be today. I'll always have one foot out the door, always be waiting for him to turn into some version of my father, focused on nothing but keeping the keys to the kingdom. Cru told me he could have married someone else earlier. We both know why he didn't. If my last name wasn't formerly Ellsworth, he would have. He has qualities that can't be bought, like charisma and charm. More to offer than a handsome face and a bank account trailing zeros. People genuinely like him. They indulge me because they know I can be a powerful friend and a ruthless enemy, because I've found fear far more effective than love. He wouldn't have married me if not for an arrangement. But I would have married him. That realization is why I can no longer look at him. I study the stucco floor tiles instead. I'm not going to file for divorce. Maybe the most honest sentence I've ever said to him. I won't be the reason this marriage ends. Fails maybe, but not the one who flags the dotted line to sign. Not because my father would be furious I destroyed the future he arranged. Not because I'd lose everything I gained. Not because my other prospects would be dismal. Because I'm selfish. I want him and I don't want anyone else to have him. Crew pushes away from the wall looming over me. For one wild thrilling second I think he's about to kiss me. Force me to admit I do want him here. Instead he turns to his right toward the exit. You're leaving. One eyebrow cocks infuriatingly as he glances back. Using the restroom. Is that allowed, honey? The harshest word in the sentence is the sweetest. The honey slaps. Our nickname game was entertaining. But after hearing him call me Red with feeling with genuine affection, honey just sounds insulting. I sigh, the fight draining from me as his bitter tone registers. That's one of our many problems. One of us is usually in the mood to spar. You can leave if you want. I'm not only talking about the restaurant, and I know he realizes that when determination flashes across his face. I'm not a quitter. For better or worse, Red. I thought the only vow you meant was for richer. His lips twitch, his bad mood temporarily fading like the sun peeking out behind clouds. You're still wearing your sticker. Huh. Crew steps forward and tugs the green admission sticker from Versailles off my dress. I snag it from his fingers before he can crumple it. He watches me tuck it into my clutch with an unreadable expression. It's okay to care, you know. I know. Do you? Crew counters. Then he leaves me standing here, gaping after him like a goldfish. You wouldn't know it's summer based on the iciness in this car. The rest of dinner with Jacques went smoothly. Crew stayed quiet as Jacques, and I went over everything that needs to get taken care of this week. I hoped Jacques was oblivious to the tension simmering between me and Crew throughout dinner. But he whispered amore is not easy, ma chérie in my ear as we said our goodbyes, making me think you might have needed to be blind and deaf not to notice we weren't behaving like newlyweds. Jacques laughed at the scowl I answered his advice with. After dinner, the driver drops us off back at the hotel. I stride across the marble lobby, not bothering to wait for Crew. I need some space. Unfortunately, his long legs carry him into the elevator mere seconds after me. The golden doors slide shut slowly, sealing us inside, and we begin to rise. I expect him to talk, but he stays silent, leaning against the shiny metal wall and acting as though I'm not standing 2 feet away. We arrive at the top floor of suites a couple of minutes later. You have my room key? I ask when the doors open, annoyed I had to break the silence first. He was the one who checked us in. Unless I want to sleep in the hallway or pat him down like a police officer, I have no choice. Wordlessly, Crew plucks a plastic rectangle from his pocket and hands it to me. I nod a thanks before I head toward the number emblazoned on the plastic. I hold the key against the sensor. It flashes green, allowing me inside. I shut the heavy door behind me and lean back against it for a moment. What a day. Parts, most of it were good, which is bittersweet. I'll remember his pissed-off posture in the car, just now when I think of climbing the Eiffel Tower side by side. My fault. I head deeper inside the plush suite, kicking off my stilettos with a heavy sigh that doesn't release any tension. My bags have all been piled in the living room, next to unfamiliar luggage that should not be in here. I turn around at the same time as the door beeps again. Crew enters the room. What are you doing in here? I thought you had your own room. There were none available, Crew says breezily, pulling off his suit jacket and tossing it across the back of the gilded couch. You're lying. I inform him, crossing my arms. Am I? He gives me an infuriating smirk. You're not sleeping in here. Why not? Worried you won't be able to control yourself, Red? I bite the inside of my cheek so hard I taste blood. I've controlled myself for the month we've been married. So no, I'm not. I expect him to bring up how loudly I moaned next to my parents' pool. The only reason we didn't have sex that night was because he didn't have a condom and thinks I'm sleeping with a surgeon. Rubbing up against him wasn't exactly the pinnacle of self-control. But instead of a reminder, all he says is, great. I don't see what the problem is then. You're sleeping on the couch. Fuck. I don't negotiate. Ever. Crew's triumphant smirk is maddening. He untucks his shirt and starts unbuttoning it. Looks at the fancy Victorian-style sofa that appears about as soft as a wooden board. The bed looks more comfortable. I'm sure it is. If you want a bed. Another suggestion to get his own damn room dies on my tongue as he discards his khaki shorts and strides to the bed in nothing but a pair of black boxer briefs. My mouth goes dry as he climbs in on the side of the bed I usually sleep on. Golden skin rippling over defined muscles assaults my vision and hijacks my thoughts. He did most of the exploring the last time he was shirtless. I'm ogling and he appears indifferent, climbing into bed and rolling onto his stomach. He tugs a pillow under his head, closes his eyes, and that's it. No touching, no teasing, no taunting, no talking. We feel like a married couple 50 years in, not a loving one who cherishes every moment they share. A resigned one where time together is a chore, and at least one person always has somewhere they'd rather be. I'm completely off kilter, but if I protest more, it will essentially be admitting I can't handle his proximity, that I'm affected by being near him while he's unconscious. I am, but I would rather sleep on the floor than give him that information. Then give Crew the satisfaction of pushing me out of my bed, of winning. I stomp over to my bags to retrieve my toiletry kit and pajamas. I make sure to slam the bathroom door shut behind me, well aware I'm acting like a petulant child. More than being annoyed with Crew, I'm pissed at myself. If I really wanted to, I could make him leave. I'm choosing to allow this because a part of me wants it. I can feel the cracks appearing in my walls, and I know it. Worse, so does he. I just won't admit it, to him or to myself. I wash my face and slather it with moisturizer. After I go through the rest of my evening routine, I slide out of the dress I've been wearing all day, and pull a sleep set on. Then I pad back out into the living room, tossing my white dress over the same couch where Crew abandoned his jacket. I continue into the bedroom. The lamp is still on, but Crew appears fast asleep, his back rising and falling steadily with each breath. I hover in the doorway, taking the rare opportunity to study him, the same as I did last time we shared a bed, something I thought would be an infrequent occurrence. I head to the left side of the bed and slip between the silk sheets. It's a king-size bed, but it feels tiny. Crew and I are nowhere close to touching, but I can feel the heat radiating from his side of the bed, hear his rhythmic breaths. Instead of counting sheep, I'm thinking about having sex with him. It takes me a long time to fall asleep.